We're happy to have the candidate for District Attorney, Danny Clancy, here. Danny is a stand-up guy, and let me tell you why. He was at a fundraiser in the Park Cities, okay, and he said, yeah, I'll make it out there just as soon as I can get out of the fundraiser. And what happens? He gets stuck on LBJ. It's happened all the time. Came, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say. Another reason I know he's a stand-up guy is because when the county was looking for a candidate to run against who then was a real media star, Craig Watkins, Craig had been on Oprah and all that, I heard, at least in the Dallas Morning News, that they really were thinking about not running a candidate for district attorney, and Danny stepped up and did it. And now, I think the tables have turned. Everybody realizes we need to get rid of Craig and Danny. So anyway, with that, I'll let Danny tell the story.
Appreciate it very much. And if I look tired and disheveled, it's because I'm tired and disheveled. I'll tell you what, we've got, I think, 53 days left. 53 days left, and that's the good news. But it's also the bad news. 53 days left. We got 53 days left, and we've got a lot of work to do. My name is Danny Clancy, and I am proud to be here tonight and to be able to introduce myself as your Republican candidate for Dallas County District Attorney. I made this decision about a year ago. We've been campaigning very, very hard for the last several months, and we're not going to stop now. We're not going to let up now. As David said, things look very, very good for us right now. We can look at these polls, and there's a lot of generic polls out there that just talk about Republican versus Democrat, and the enthusiasm that the Republican Party has versus the enthusiasm that the Democratic Party has. And the numbers I saw yesterday, Constance Skinner, I saw something yesterday that they said they hadn't seen numbers like this in 80 years. Just the difference between how the Republican Party is motivated to show up on October 18th and show up on November 2nd versus where the Democrats are today. So from that standpoint, I say that the political climate is just right. And so much of this is timing. So much of this is timing. I will tell you just a little bit about my background and a little bit about my political endeavors over the last 15 years. I grew up right here in Dallas, not in Coppell, but in Dallas. I grew up in Dallas and went to school Jesuit. That's where I attended high school. In fact, I've got two sons who are there now. We played the Coppell Cowboys last
Friday night.
That's right.
Tomorrow night.
Friday night's varsity, but last night we ended up JV 13-13 tie. But we were here last night. Went to Jesuit for high school. Went to Texas State University after that and received a degree in political science at Texas State University. And I'll tell you just a little fun fact about me. Not a lot of people know this, but while I was in college, I played rugby. I played rugby for 4 years. And for any of you that know anything about rugby, it is a hard-hitting, no pads, rough, tough, blood, sweat, and tears sport. It is a tough sport. I did it for 4 years. Third year, we won the state championship. My fourth year, I was voted most valuable player by my teammates. I was a leaner, meaner machine back then. I tell this story often because people say, what does that have to do with what we're doing here tonight? And the reality is, it was those 4 years on the rugby field that best prepared me for local politics. Because, as you know, local politics can be difficult as well, and oftentimes hard-hitting. And let me add this: we're about to start fighting hard, harder than we've been fighting. We've been fighting hard, but we're about to take the gloves off. And we're about to go after this guy, Craig Watkins, because I believe that Dallas County deserves better. I absolutely believe that Dallas County deserves better. I'll tell you, when I made the decision to run, it was a difficult decision. You don't go into something like this willy-nilly. You've got to sit down and you've got to talk to the people who support you, the people who love you, your family, your friends, the people that in your neighborhood, the people that you go to church with. You have to make sure that everyone's in this together because it is a long, long, difficult road. My wife and I, we met in law school. I went to law school at Mississippi College in Jackson, Mississippi. My wife, Julie, is a municipal court judge for the city of Dallas, and we're very proud of her. She's the one that has kept this whole thing together over the last several months. We have 3 children. My oldest son, Dylan's a sophomore at Jesuit. I've got a son, Ryan, who's a freshman at Jesuit, and we have a daughter, Kylie, who's in 6th grade. I care about my family very, very much. And part of the decision for me was not only caring about my family, but caring about you, caring about your family, caring about the victims, caring about the district attorney's office, quite frankly. That's where I began my career. I began my career in the district attorney's office back in the early 90s. And, you know, I care about that office. And it was something when the decision was made, you know, I can't get past the fact that we've got a top prosecutor in this county. We're talking about one of the largest jurisdictions in the country. We've got a top prosecutor in this county who not once walked into a courtroom, announced ready on behalf of the state of Texas, and actually prosecuted a case from start to finish. And you know, I've said this many times. I don't think that's setting the bar too high. He got swept in 2006 with no credentials. And I'll tell you what, when I announced that I was running, I know people who care about me, who weren't willing to say this to me, I know there were people that were scratching their heads and they were saying, Danny, I just don't think you're going to be able to get this done. I don't think you're going to be able to beat this guy. And here we are several months later, and the media has finally figured it out. The media has finally figured it out. In the newspapers, you can't go a week now without another story being written about this guy, and the level of incompetence, and we could go on and on. When I spoke here several months ago, we were talking about a constable investigation. A constable investigation that quite frankly, your district attorney failed you. I've seen the reports. We're talking about bribery. We're talking about official oppression. And the reality is you had 2 Democrat constables who were involved in this activity. And he did everything he could to make sure he swept it under the rug. It didn't work out for him. The media caught on to it. And it was just a disaster from your district attorney. They failed you. And you know what? Here we are several months later. I don't know what's going on with that constable investigation. I have no idea what's going on with it. I do know that eventually he handed it off to a supporter of his, an attorney who has never prosecuted before. He handed it off to a supporter of his, and it's just fallen into some dark hole. And you deserve answers. And we're talking to, again, we're talking to the news, we're talking to folks just like you every day and every night. And we don't want these issues to be swept under the rug. Don't you know, had it been a Republican constable, that he would have gone after him, and there would have been indictments. But this guy, what he does is he makes decisions. He makes decisions based on what he thinks is in his personal best interest or his political best interest. He doesn't make decisions, in my humble opinion, based on what's in the best interest of the citizens of this county.